Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video we'll be seeing what is supervised machine learning. We have this term that is supervised and learning. Supervised in basic terms, it's like you need to observe and direct the execution. So you have to observe something and direct the execution. Now, who will direct the execution and observe? It's the user who will be observing and directing the execution. Now, in this, someone needs to learn this supervised technique. So, who will learn? That is the algorithms. So, the machine learning algorithms which you basically employ in order to train your model, basically those algorithms learns from the label data. Now here one term is that label data. So this label data you will be many times will be encountered in machine learnings. So label data is nothing but, say for example, if I have some points like this, and say for example if I have points like this. So this I have labeled into some in red points and some in black points. So this is labeled data. And if I have some data, like for example say this, but this has got no color, so this basically becomes unlabeled data. So those are basically labeled and unlabeled data. So in supervised learning they basically use this labeled data. I mean, this can be in any form, like you can put some labels or some class or some plus minus notation, something like that. So what this basically does is, after understanding the data, the algorithm will determine, means first the algorithm will read the data, whether how the data is and what label should it to be assigned, and the new data pattern will be formed, and the associating data patterns will be given to the unlabeled data which are there in the test set. Now you need to understand two major things in this. So whenever in machine learning you have this thing, that is, it will be a data set. So this data set, or in supervised learning or in machine learning, you will have data in a table format, like you have rows and columns. So you have many rows and many columns. It will be of massive size. Now what basically you need to do is, in this you just divide this data set into two parts. So one is training set and the other one is test set. So this division is basically on the discretion of the analyst, that is the data analyst. So basically you do either a 50-50% or you do a 2/3 or 1/3, that is you keep 2/3 portion to the training set and 1/3 of the portion to test set. Say for example we keep 67% to training set and we have around 33% for test set. Now what this basically does is, it will take the training set and it has got set of some target variables. So target variables are basically response variables which you know, for which you try to predict the output. Now our main goal is to like map the input to the output. Means if one particular kind of input comes, then its output should be what. Now the user will know, or the user will have the idea, like if this data comes then what should be the output, but you need to incorporate into machine. So that's why we use supervised learning in this. So this majorly has a task of deducing a function from the labeled data. So it can be like that, you have some function, so it will try to predict some function like f of x is equal to x square, or it can be like 3x plus 2, like the x variable has to be first multiplied with 3, then it's used to be added with 2. Or it can be used to make predictions based on the evidence in the presence of uncertainty. Like for example, you have some credit card fraud detection. So in that you don't have much certainty about like whether those cards have been got manipulated or it has got been compromised. So what you do, based on the evidence which are there, you try to predict it. So it's basically in card systems. Next, it identifies the patterns in the given data with some adaptive algorithms. Now, for example, if you apply one algorithm, it will try to predict, or it will try to create some patterns. Say for example, pattern 1. Now tomorrow if this pattern needs to be refined, you need to apply another algorithm, so that will give rise to pattern n. So for that basically we use supervised learning. Now the basic idea or why supervised learning is done is because it predicts the values with known targets. Means you already know what kind of input should be given, and based upon that you will know the outputs which are there. So user inputs with known answers to learn. Now he puts those things into the machine and the machine tries to guess those particular data, or like to if data 1 comes like as an input. So this is input 1. So for this input what should be the output? So it basically maps, it tries to predict. Now user will check whether this input 1 is assigned to that particular output or not. So if this is true, then you can say the accuracy of your model is correct. Now based on what you do this, that is supervised learning. So it assumes that something was happened before and it will get repeated in the future again without not much drastic change, and will provided all other factors remain constant. So it can be said like you have, say for example you have an exam today, and you failed in that exam. Now again you have a retest of that exam, and you know like what happened previous so that you failed, so you try to prepare it and go. But the scenario is like the examiners just change the versions of that test. So it's like they have changed the scenario, but you predicted or you thought like the same scenario would happen again and again. So it basically assumes that thing. So supervised learning has got two major branches, like you have one classification and regression. Classification mainly does the categorization of output in some unique bucket. So it can be discrete, boolean or either categorical. And regression basically estimates the continuous values for real output. So this can be either numerical values. So it basically takes numerical values, and in this you have nominal, categorical, etc, etc. Now how the working of the supervised learning is done. So basically supervised machine learning algorithm is divided into two parts, or it first runs the learning, that is with the help of the training data you either learn a model or you train a model using the training data. It's like, for an example, say you have a student and a teacher. Now this teacher wants to check whether the student knows that particular answers or easy prepared for that exam. So first the teacher will try to train that particular student with all the available data and resources. Now this student has to be tested. So the student doesn't know what all answers or what all questions would come in the exam. So based upon that, the student will be evaluated on the exam, and if he performs well or if he gets a good score, then he has a good percentage or a good accuracy. So this basically works in these two steps, that is you have the learning phase and then you have the test phase. Now for example, let's consider the scenario with the help of an example. Now for example, you have a fruit basket data set and you have got certain features like you have the size, color, then you have the weight, skin type and shape. So I've taken this, so this is an apple. So first it will check if the color is red, and if the size is medium, and if the shape is a round shape, and it has a depression at the bottom, that is true, and depression at the top, that is true, then this will be assigned to label 1 or set 1. Now one more validation is that if the skin type is smooth and it is shiny on this label 1, means this entire set, then you assign to label 2. Now after this it gets assigned to the class of apple. Now in this case this is an orange, so at the very first step the color is red, so it becomes false, and the size is medium, no it's large, and the shape is round, yeah that's true, but you have depression at the bottom, no it's still round, and at the top also it's not depression, it's a flat surface. So this condition fails and this does not go into the category of apple, it goes into the category of orange. So this is how the supervised learning basically learns from the input data and tries to classify the particular data and tries to predict the model, and it gives the accuracy. So well, that was all regarding the supervised learning in machine learning. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you found it educated watching this video, please do like, share, comment, and if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching this video.